Hello, my name is Lisa Chapman, and I'm the founder and director of TANGO Seaweed, a company that is cultivating seaweeds or ocean vegetables on the west coast of Norway. I would like to tell you a little bit about our journey with seaweeds towards hopefully a successful business and healthy planet, and what role seaweeds can play in the future of ocean food. Our background, as many others, is that, of course, the world's population is growing and pressure on scarce resources is mounting. And this is one reason why we need to, among other things, rethink also food production and design complete resource cycles in this context. And the wonderful thing is that seaweeds can really help us to meet many of the major challenges facing the world today, including in the context of food production. But let me tell you a little bit about what seaweeds really are. They don't deserve the name weed, in my opinion. Another term is marine macroalgae, but the important thing here is that they function as ocean plants in shallow coastal ecosystems naturally. Globally, there are about 10,000 species, and that's just one aspect of the large diversity and variety we are speaking of when we're talking about ocean vegetables. In Norway, we have about 450 species, and we're just starting to begin and cultivate a number of these in seaweed farms. So we're really talking about a new type of aquaculture, an emerging industry or branch sector in Norway. In Asia, this has been done for many, many years. And it's a biological marine resource, which is fundamentally very suitable for food or other aspects of human consumption. So also nutraceuticals or bioactives or pharmaceuticals. And in addition to that, there are almost unlimited number of other applications, such as animal feed, fertilizer, cosmetics, bioplastics is very relevant, and bioenergy. So seaweeds are a raw material and a resource that has been largely undervalued and underestimated in the Western world, at least. In Asia, there's been a tradition for its use in many, many centuries. In addition, seaweed aquaculture is climate and environmentally positive, not just sustainable. This is because we're talking then about functional plants in the ocean, which recycle nutrients. There is often an excess of which in some fjord ecosystems. And also, or we could say, we are recycling nutrients that otherwise we would lose in the vast ocean waters. So it's a way of recovering an important resource. They also take up carbon like other plants and convert it to oxygen. And for this type of aquaculture, we need no fresh water, or we don't take up arable land. And in addition to that, again, seaweeds, just a seaweed farm existing in the ocean, can provide ecosystem services and be an important contribution to a healthy ecosystem in the oceans. As food, seaweeds are healthy, tasty, and varied. And of course, this is very much a generalization because, again, we're talking about a very large diversity of species that differ from each other. And not all of these points here are equally relevant for each species at each time of its life. But in general, this is just a short list of which highlights we meet when we use seaweeds as food. So in terms of minerals, we have iodine, magnesium, potassium, calcium, and sodium. Seaweeds represent a healthy salt replacement because the salts, the very salty seaweeds, are largely built on a more healthy type of mineral salt than our regular table salt. They contain vitamins. In terms of lipids, they consist of a very good ratio between omega-3 and omega-6 fatty acids. They are rich in fibers and have other properties like antioxidants. They can function as probiotics, have many antibacterial effects, and the list could be continued much further. What really fascinates me, and this is in an answer in contrast to that we are often asked in the sector of seaweed farming, which is a young and new sector in Norway, we're often asked if this industry can be as large as salmon aquaculture. And in my opinion, that is really, that's not to the point. The point is that we are dealing with something very different, which has a much larger potential of both diversification and diversity in general than the aquaculture of just salmon. What we're really talking about, I think, is the equivalent of all cultivation of plants on land in the ocean. So on land, if you think about the wide spectrum of everything from potatoes to grains to corn to all varieties of fruit and all types of vegetables, then that is what we can expect of and could develop in a similar way in the ocean. And just to give you an example, if you take just one plant that is a staple food on land, potato, you have a large variety of food and drink products from potatoes. And we use potatoes in very, very many different contexts and have very many varieties in addition. We already have a similar situation for a staple seaweed, if you like, which is a sugar kelp. And here we already have everything from sea vegetable uses or salads, flavor ingredients, nutraceuticals, pharmaceuticals and supplements. Pestos are made from them and snacks, and even wine or sherry. So that's just one seaweed type with many food product applications. And if you then imagine the whole variety of seaweeds that we have not even started to farm yet, and the potential of food products from all these species, the potential diversity in application is huge. But it's a long way to go, and like many others in Norway, or not so many actually yet, we are some of the early pioneers of seaweed farming. And in TANGO Seaweed, we really want to step up to the challenge of establishing standards for seaweed farming in this new sector, which are according to nature's principles. And nature's principles are all about circularity. Nature has circularity by design, which means there's no waste in nature, only food, only resources. So we see our task of designing this new type of aquaculture in a way that thinks like nature, that knows only food and no waste. And seaweeds fundamentally are a very good way of thinking towards this principle. Another way of putting it is that we want to go beyond sustainability with this type of aquaculture. And in addition to thinking like, how can we do things less bad? How can we reduce our ecological footprint? And for example, use less energy in our production or use less fresh water, less resources and so on. We want to go about how can we come to positive value creation through increasing a positive footprint. And this is again what seaweeds can do, because, for example, they can recycle nutrients from seawater that would otherwise be lost. They can represent an ecosystem, a life arena for many other species in a seaweed farm. And there are many other ways we can think in this way with seaweed farming, but we need to do it systematically and from the start. So in order to produce healthy food for healthy people and a healthy planet with seaweed farming, we have a number of challenges, very many actually, because we are just at the beginning. And some of the big themes in this context are in the actual cultivation and harvesting. We need to understand the biology and ecology, and that's a big field. It's not just about finding good technological solutions, although we need those also for improved efficiency and upscaling eventually. But most of what we're doing and what we don't understand yet is about biology and ecology in large ocean ecosystems. So we want to learn how to build a regenerative seaweed farm that functions at a circularity principles and possibly imply methods like integrated multi-trophic aquaculture, where we grow different species together, and eventually can think about the role of scale and go from pilot and small scales to larger scales in a safe way. We want to imply all the concepts of a green value chain, and we use the cradle-to-cradle design for that, a circularity principle. And this concerns very many aspects like energy use, rest raw material, the packaging, storage, logistics, and the transparency in our processes. And finally, in order to create values and value, we can employ a system for evaluating ecosystem services in addition to producing products and raw material. And we want to take into account things like immaterial ownership and community values. So it's about many types of values in addition to traditional value creation. And although we are a very strong and engaged team, albeit still very small, need partners and supports and network, often in forms that are unpredictable and very surprising and positive in many ways. And so we continue to develop with our partners and with our network. And if you are interested in talking to us further, if you're interested in tasting seaweed or using it in maybe your production, or if you want to work together or even discuss the further implementations of seaweed in a larger context of ocean development and protection, then please contact us. And yeah, you find our website and contact points here. Or actually it's not visible so good, but you find our website if you Google TANGO Seaweed. So I hope to hear from you and talk further on a fascinating subject. Thank you.